Awesome. So I got a question in the chat and I'm going to let her ask it. Nicole was actually part of the 2010 organizing committee, part of that group. So
Oh,
Nicole, go ahead and ask your question.
Perfect. Great. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us, Rebecca. We really appreciate it. And I love hearing about your journey. So one of the questions that I had was how you're keeping busy and training during this time, and what can young players do to stay motivated and active right now?
yeah, that's a really good question. So times like that, I mean, no one has ever experienced anything like this, and but I know it was really tough at first, to all the unknowns of, you don't know when a league's going to start. You don't know if we're going to be able to play hockey next year, or when can we get on the ice. You can't get in the gym, can't be with your friends. I think it's a lot of stresses right now that's happening with the whole COVID, and trying to have that separation and being safe and healthy. And but I think you can really use this time, and this is the kind of the mindset that I've had, is you can really use this time to your advantage. For me, there's things that I wanted to work on, and this has given me all the time in the world to work on things and focus on some of my weaknesses that I wanted to improve. So the mental side of the game was huge for me. So I wanted to work with the sports psych. I wanted to make sure that my mind space was in the right spot, and kind of always trying to work on the mental side and staying positive through everything. So for me, I'd really focus on the mental side of things right now. And then I've been shooting a lot, actually. So I found this outdoor rink with the ice is obviously out, and I just bring my board and I'll just shoot pucks, 150 pucks, 200 pucks, 3-4 times a week. And I think that's an area that I want to focus on. And just because there isn't ice doesn't mean that you can't focus and try to improve on your skills. I think stick handling is another thing that you girls can do anywhere, really. And so that's another thing that I've been also focusing on. There's a lot of areas that you can work on without actually being on the ice. I mean, you can go on your rollerblades. There's a lot of different things that you can do so that you're sharp and ready to go when the season actually does start. But so for me, those are kind of the focuses that I want to do. And then I've been working out. So every day, I think it's really important to stick with the routine, because you can really get out of sync. You don't have anything going on, or you don't need to be anywhere. So I'm just going to not do anything today, or sit and just watch movies all day. But I think it's really important to stick to a routine. So what I usually work out in the morning. So I wake up, have my breakfast, and I'll go work out in the morning. And obviously workouts have been a lot different, not being able to be in a gym, but I've been pretty creative with things. I have a few dumbbells and that sort of stuff. So I've been doing a lot of body weight and eccentric loading, like holding positions because you don't have as much weight. And I've actually been able to keep up my strength quite a bit, actually, and then my cardio is way better because I've just been focusing on working out and trying to stay in shape that way. So you can run outside. There's so many things that you can do to stay active. So I think sticking with the routine, really, and making sure that you're focusing on areas that you wanted to improve on, because now you have time, so you might as well utilize it.
That's awesome. So I have a text question because they don't have a mic, but so it's from Sarah and Olivia, and they would like to know, what level of hockey did you play with when you were 13?
13. What grade is that?
So
I think I still played boys then. So it was maybe midget, no, yeah, AA. I played just AA boys. So there was a league here, and we would travel to Toronto and do tournaments and all that. But yeah, I played with competitive with the boys at that age.
Awesome.
I had to switch over because I grew really late. So I'm 5'9" now, so quite quite tall for a girl, and but I was about 5'3", I think, like all of high school. I grew in grades like my last year of high school, so I was so short and then I just had a growth spurt. So I think for me, playing with the guys, I was so small, and they all started to grow and get stronger, and I was almost had to switch over just to be safe, because they were still hitting and all that, so I didn't want to get hurt. But
awesome, thank you. Question now from Russell. Russell is a coach and organizer with the Surrey Falcons. Russell, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Rebecca. Question for you. I mean, this year we're going to face some challenges with the whole COVID experience, of course, and social distancing on the ice and that sort of thing. So, one of the things we're starting to think about now is we're going to be running a lot of practices and maybe not, see any games or anything. But, was there anything? I mean, you've had a lot of coaches during your tenure. Was there anything that stuck out for you that you remembered that was enjoyable in the practices that you like to do, that the girls like to do, that your teammates like to do? Anything that kind of stuck out for you? I mean, I'm going to be coaching U11 this year, so that's going to be the Adam division. So, I mean, anything that kind of stuck out for you back in, when you're younger and even now, per se, and that?
Yeah, I think the main thing, especially now, and I notice it a lot, is having different practices and having a lot of different types of drills. I think I've been through with coaches in the past that every practice almost seems pretty repetitive, and so that can get boring pretty quick. So I think making sure you're focused on different areas. I know U11, I don't know if you wouldn't really be doing system stuff, right?
We'd be starting kind of, working on the zones and that at this point.
Yeah.
Breakouts, still working a lot on development and that sort of thing, skating and stuff like that. But yeah, just trying to, I mean, I've coached the tyke and novice level past few years and that. So, I mean, those are, now that we're getting into Adam, we're playing, full ice. Now we're starting to kind of understand or learn a bit about the game and stuff. So, I mean, trying to keep it, somewhat fun and engaged at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's just the beginning of kind of getting them, positioning and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say development, especially at younger ages. So development is huge. I think the systems stuff can wait for sure. I think the most important part is really development. The skating, the stick handling. I mean, I think skating is a huge component if you want to get to high level. Having that speed, it just creates so much more space and time for you, and it just makes the game easier. So I think the better you can skate, I think the easier the game could be. So I think that's a huge component that kids can work on. But I think for me, the main thing that keeps me engaged is I love to play the competitive games. At the end of practice, so it's kind of something to look forward to, and having each practice, you're focusing on something. So yeah, we're going to focus on the D zone side of things, or battles like 1-on-1s, 2-on-1s. Every practice is kind of tailored towards something, and then having a game or two at the end that's competitive and makes the girls work, but also it's just so much fun. I mean, that's why you play hockey, so you have like a 3-on-3 down low, or a lot of different types of fun games. Because I remember when I was young, and still now, if a coach, because they have the practice plan up, and if there's a game at the end and then we don't get to the game, it's so sad. Everyone's just so disappointed. So, especially when I was younger, I just absolutely loved those games. So I think just having a little bit of fun with it and finding new little fun ways to compete with each other. I think that's the main thing, the competing, and that's why we play hockey.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Katie has a question. Katie, did you want to ask your question to Rebecca?
Hey, so I was wondering, how many days do you work out in a week, and how important are your recovery days?
Oh, good question. So I work out I would say 6 times a week. So I have 1 day off every week, and that's the same throughout the summer and the winter throughout our season. I tend to work out probably like too much because I just love working out, and I'm just kind of like a fitness kind of freak a little bit. But we work out. I'll probably work out 2 hours a day in the weight room and doing cardio or sprint work, movement work. So that it totals probably about 2 hours a day in the summer. And then now it's obviously challenging getting on the ice, but normally a few times a week I would get on the ice just for an hour, just to do skill work. So focusing on areas that I wanted to work on, like shooting, stick handling. So that would be in the summertime, and then the winter, it gets a little bit more busy. I'm working out still, probably an hour and a half in the gym, and then practicing before after that, before after our lifts. So that could be about 3 hours, 3.5 hours a day, and then plus with our games on the weekends and our practices. So it is quite a bit in the winter. So it's hard for me, especially focusing just on hockey. It's hard to get a full-time job for sure. It's quite hard. But part-time jobs even, it's quite difficult. But I'm lucky and fortunate enough that I can solely focus on hockey to improve my skills and make sure I'm getting better each and every day. But it is a lot of time. I would probably say 4 hours a day.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna try Micah again, see how it works.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, way
Yes.
better.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Rebecca, for your time. It's been amazing to actually get the opportunity to listen to you again. We actually listened to you about 4 years ago in Calgary when one of your Ivy League, Devin Mintz, arranged something at the center there, and we had our spring hockey team there, and you brought your gold medals, and our girls still have your jerseys that are signed and they're framed in their bedrooms. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, they look up to you every day. So Micah, you want to ask your question?
How did you pick your number?
My number. So I grew up playing, and I wore number 16. So all through when I was playing with the boys, and then with my Sudbury Wolves team, when I played with the girls, I was always number 16. And then I went to college and I was also 16. And 16 was my favorite number. But when I joined the national team, Jana Hefford was 16. And she's an incredible player, a veteran when I started. And so there wasn't a chance I was getting that number. And she played for a while with me. So I picked 6 because at least one number in 16. So I thought 6 would be a good pick. I guess lots of people say it's a defense number, but I've kind of just made it my own, and now I like the number. So yeah, 6. That's how I started, got that number.
And now it's nice to know that girls are picking that number because of you. Russell, we'll come back to you to ask a question. And girls, we're kind of wrapping up our time here. So if you have a question, now's the time to put it in the chat, and then I'll call on you to ask it. But we are coming to the end of our session, so don't wait too long. Go ahead, Russell.
Okay, thanks. Hello again. Hey, were there any, Team Canada, were there any team bonding or building activities that you guys did, and any recommendations that were kind of fun and great to do with the team that you've done in the past? And thanks for your time, by the way.
Yeah, of course. I've done so many different activities. A lot of probably the general ones that you have done, like a lot of teamwork things, getting to know people, saying like 3 fun facts about yourself, or 2 truths, 1 lie kind of thing. But I think really the best team bonding is and I don't know if it works at like a really young age, but like just going out and doing something as a team. I think for an example, like in Sochi, we were having the absolute worst year. I think we lost 6 games in a row to the States leading up to the Olympics. We had a coaching change. It was the toughest Olympic year I've experienced. It was like physically exhausting. Everyone was so tired, and we just kept losing. And then we got a new coach, Kevin Dineen, who coached in the NHL, and he came on board a month and a half before the Olympics. And he was by far my favorite coach. He was just so smart and taught me so much. But one thing that he did was took us all out to dinner. He knew that everyone was stressed, everyone was tired, and we all just sat around the table. We had this big table, and we just kind of relaxed, and we didn't even talk about hockey, but we just got to know each other, sitting beside someone that you don't normally sit beside. I think just having that trust in each other, and everyone doesn't have to be best friends on a team, but I think it's really important that everyone gets along and knows that that person beside you is going to do their best game in and game out, and having that trust with each other. So I think the trust part is huge and really important. And it doesn't always have to be some elaborate team activity, but I think just spending time with the team outside of the rink setting, I think is really important. And then for us, that Olympics, we were in Vienna, which is a gorgeous, it was one of my favorite places. And the coaches just let us go out and have a little bit of fun and just get some food and be together. And I think that was kind of a turning point for us, kind of just to let loose and just relax and not really think about hockey because we were so stressed about it. So that's just kind of one example of, I guess, if you have a little bit of older team, being able to do something outside of the rink. But I've done axe throwing, so doing just fun activities like that. But I think really the most important thing is the trust and making sure that everyone at least gets along and knows that everyone is different, but you all have the same goal and want to achieve the same thing.
Axe throwing is a bit interesting.
Yeah, have you ever done that?
No. I don't know if I'm going to do that with Sarah's laughing. No, Sarah, we're not axe throwing.
There's there's a lot of places that you can do it. It's there's targets, and then you compete against each other, and then there's a winner, and it's fun.
Kind of interesting. So I have a text question from Ella. Ella, go ahead and ask your question. You gotta take yourself off mute though. There you go.
Okay. Hi. So you said you struggled with confidence, and I was just wondering what were some things you did mentally and physically to help yourself build it back up?
Yeah, so that was a really big struggle when I was when younger, just starting the program. I think, and it's something that you have to continuously work on. For me, confidence is something that can be given easily and then taken away quite easily and quickly as well. So the point when I struggled was in 2009, 2010. The year going into the 2010 Olympics, I was in my second year university at Cornell, and I was I put so much pressure on myself because I wanted to make this Olympic team so bad. So I knew at Cornell, there's always scouts at every game. I knew that I had to perform every game, that, my job is to get points. My job is to be scoring. And I put so much pressure on myself to be doing those things that I almost just started to lose the fun of the game, and I actually wanted to quit. I just wasn't having fun. And then I got that call to be centralized for the Olympic team, and a part of me didn't even want to do it. I just was like, well, I'm not going to make the team. I'm young, I don't deserve to be there. And so my confidence was so low at that point. But I'm very thankful that my parents, who have been huge supporters of mine, had said that, you know, if you don't do this, you will regret this for the rest of your life. And I'm so glad that they had helped me see that it was something that I've always wanted. And I just needed to really realize that, you know what, if I had nothing to lose, I just have to go out and play. They obviously want me for a reason. So I have to show my skill sets and what makes me great. And so I kind of focused on that. I focused on what was my strengths of the game and what they wanted to see from me. And I kind of gained confidence from that. Once you focus on, like, you know, a couple things each game, or what I want to accomplish, that centralization, you just focus on those things that are positive, that make you who you are as a player, and that you should gain confidence from that. And know that, you know, you're on a team for a reason. The coaches picked you. And so to never not believe in yourself, or not to think that, like, oh, you're not good enough, or, you know, they don't want you, or like you don't deserve to be on this line or this power play. I think always have the confidence in yourself, because if a coach, you know, puts you somewhere, or you should always take that confidence and ride with it, and just know that your strengths are what make you who you are.
That's great advice. Thank you. So guys, I'm cutting the questions off. We have 3 more questions, and then we have to say bye. I'm sure we could ask her questions all night long, but we do have to let her go at some point. So the next question is coming from Gabriella and Gianna. Do you guys want to ask your question to Rebecca?
Rebecca, we just want to know how old you were when you first started playing integrated hockey.
I guess I started like in a league when I was 4 years old. And then I guess when I switched over to girls, I was about like 15, and then making the national team, I was 17 years old.
Question from Sarah and Olivia again. They want to know what your diet is while you're training. Do you have like go-to things that you always eat? Is there a specific diet that you do while you're training?
So I generally, and I always have been eating, I always eat fairly healthy. Just growing up, my parents never really got junk food. I'm sort of used to not having too much of anything. I think the most important thing is just having and eating in moderation. So I think it's okay to have sweets. It's okay to have chips or junk food at times. I just think everything is just in moderation. So don't have too much of that. But I do notice a huge difference, especially when I'm competing, to not be eating as much sugar and junk food. I tend to stay away from that usually, just on a daily basis. But I think it's really important to get your vegetables, eating your proteins, and then having a little bit of carbs. But I've gotten away from, and I think back then, pregame meal is like a bowl of pasta. So I think nowadays, especially a lot of athletes and hockey players that I know have gotten away from that. It's a lot of protein and vegetables, and then maybe a little bit of carbs, but it's not a lot. It's not like a big bowl of pasta or anything. So I generally eat a lot of protein and vegetables, and fruit is really important.
Yeah. Last question, you guys. So Katie, did you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, so did you play multiple sports growing up, and when did you specialize in hockey?
Yeah, so I really believe the importance of playing sports growing up, trying new things, meeting new people. But I really think it helps with athleticism. So for me, I really think it's important to play other sports. So I played soccer in the summer. I played basketball, and I did track and field. I was actually thinking of running track and field at Cornell as well, trying to do both. But it would have been too hard, especially with the world team and making the national team. So, but I really think it translates. So I think you girls should really try, especially trying other things. But I think track and field really translates. So doing track work is really important for your off-ice training. I think it's really helped my my speed and explosiveness because I used to be a sprinter. So I think that really translates. So I think other sports translate on the ice and actually benefit you more than if you're just solely focusing on one sport. And that's just what I believe in. But and I specialized when I was in grade 11, so I don't know, 15. Maybe I stopped playing all other sports and just solely focused on hockey. That's kind of when I started with the development program with the national team.
Yeah, probably not time for anything else once you're with the national program. Okay, you guys, that brings our chat to an end. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be doing more of these. And Rebecca, you jumped on board right away when I asked you to do this, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you. If you have one piece of advice to give the girls, what would you give them?
I think just to enjoy what you're doing and to dream big. I mean, I never thought, like I said earlier, that I would ever have made the national team when I was younger, or that it was even possible. Like a small town girl from Sudbury, just didn't even know that there was this national team or even that opportunity to be able to make it there. So I think you really just should set goals and strive to achieve your dreams. I don't think you should ever let anyone tell you that you can't accomplish something. I think it's just so important to have things to strive for. So make sure you set goals and try to achieve them, and believe that you can accomplish anything.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this, you guys. Everybody have a good night, and hopefully we see you at the next Chit Chat. And Rebecca, we look forward to seeing you at the next Olympics. The gold medal.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.